When the world needed him most, he vanished. It's true. Where is that Marasaka? T1 have two sides. LCK Worlds. That is a good representation. That's a good one. The guy who made the $500 skin got laid off. Wait, that Marasaka made the $500 skin, then he got fucking laid off? Really? Oh, hell nah. Yeah, I saw the tweets from the right layoffs. Everyone is too busy thinking about the LCK teams and BLG that they didn't realize top esports can pull off the 2023 T1 run and go up against the whole LCK. True. Top esports versus the LCK. My Lucian. What the fuck is that? What is that?
07.
Stand fans of the West. I had this stuck in my head all morning. Had to get it out originally. What is this? Lord of the Rings when they're at the Black Gate. Hold your ground. Son, I see in your eyes the same fear. A day may come when the teleports of top may fail, when we forsake our smites and break all CCs of fellowship, but it's not this day, an hour of losses. Listen, if it was G2 up against Gen G, I would be rallying behind you. But FlyQuest are going to get fucking annihilated. I can feel it. I feel like it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Listen, I'll support FlyQuest. I'm not on the train yet, though. If they win the first game or if they win a game, I'm on the train. But until they win a game, I can't get on that train. I can't do it. Though. These motherfuckers, LNG, are running around Paris with their fucking baguettes fighting each other. Owner. What? Nice. Owner Steel and Baron. The fifth bullet of Gumayushi. This means a lot more after Owner's documentary. Owner's family at Worlds 23. Ah.
Look, let's go, man.
He took the trophy out for fucking... for food.
Man.
Owner took the trophy out for food. I didn't even see the trophy was in the first photo. This Marasaka won Worlds and took the trophy to a fucking K barbecue? It's like the most prestigious thing in all of LoL esports. Like, no one touch it. We can only use gloves. We must engrave the greatest names ever. But also, I'm going to take it to my Korean barbecue real quick with my mom and my sister. Dora and Peanut incident. T1 loses test. Genji chokes. LPL versus LPL final. Man, what the fuck? If it's LPL versus LPL final, the viewership's gonna tank real hard for the West. It's gonna tank big time. Best players of the tournament so far, 1 player per team. Bin, Owner, Scout, Pace, Delight. Yeah, I would agree with that, I think. I would agree with that perfectly. Maybe... the problem is if you take Elk, then you can't take Bin. The only other option is if you take Elk and Breathe, but I think Pace and Bin's better. Yeah, I think this is very accurate, actually. I don't know who made this, but... Alright, what is Nesquik saying? How do you want Europe to win the Worlds when all LEC teams don't have an academy? How is that possible? Rookies want to win Worlds who are in ERL. They can't watch LEC screams, they can't get team insights, they can't talk with their LEC mid and exchange ideas. You don't train for the region, you just train for their team. I think it's a fine take, but I don't think that's the reason. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't think LEC having academy teams changed anything. Because even when LEC had academy teams, it was... Also, there's no money for it. I think teams just can't afford it right now. Like, the budgets of all the teams are going down at like an astronomical rate. The region is broke, man. It's so hard to run an academy team. Academy teams cost like 500k a year for like a solid academy team. Players in academy on a solid academy team are on like 4 to 5k a month each. Plus you have like coaches, you have to house them, you have to have staff. Maybe if the salaries went down to like 2 to 3k, it's more affordable, but I know that some academy teams, players right now are on 4 to 5k a month, but overall the salaries in the ERLs are going down a lot. Maybe if they have an academy team, it's fine, but I don't think that's going to be like a huge defining reason why Europe would start to win. But it definitely helps, right? I'm not disregarding the take, like it helps, but I don't think that's... Maybe over the long term, over the long term it helps, but we had academies for years. But teams basically, what happened was teams had academies, then teams went to Riot and said, hey, these academies are too expensive or some shit. Like, is there a way we can opt out? And Riot said, yeah, you can opt out. And then teams can opt out of having an academy team now. That's why like G2 and Fnatic don't have academy teams, and teams like BDS have academy teams. Time to start an org. Time to start an org. That's fucking right there. Do you know what I think LEC needs? Do you know, instead of academy teams, I think it needs 2 slots in the LEC with promotion relegation. I think franchising is the reason. Franchising just stunts everyone's growth. I don't think it's academy teams. I think you need promotion relegation teams. Maybe not all the slots, but 2 slots would be great. Make it so, like for example, if you had an LEC promotion demotion slot and a qualifier where you could fight to get into the LEC, teams would prioritize like getting into the LEC over like salaries and shit like that. Or, you know, for example, I mean, not to be biased, but if you told me, hey, Caedrel, there's a chance that next year there's going to be a promotion relegation slot for 2 slots, bro, I'm making a team instantly. Get me the fuck in there. But obviously you can't do that now because teams have paid millions to get in. So I don't think that's going to fix the problem, but I definitely think that helps. I don't know. I'm not the best person to ask, but I know that some LEC spots in the last few years were like 25 to 30 mil. But right now I think LEC spots are going down. They're like 20 mil, maybe 15. I don't know. How much did Astralis sell for? I don't know. K-Corp paid 27 million for Astralis' spot. Yeah, it's a lot. It's expensive, man. And then an LEC team to run per year, isn't it like 1 to 2 million a year to run? It's expensive. This money doesn't come from it doesn't just fucking grow on trees. I don't know. The whole how do we make Europe better at Worlds thing is a hard one. Because, okay, and I don't want to burst people's bubble. I don't want to burst people's rubble. But G2 2019 was a very unique case, I think. Like, that team was... And I also think that a lot of... And I don't want to discredit G2 2019, but I do think the teams around them in the East were a lot weaker than they are now. Like, for example, that T1 team that they beat was probably the weakest version of T1 in the last 10 years. That SKT. 2019, 2020 SKT was just fucking... Like, they had Teddy Effort and... Clid. Nowadays, these Eastern teams are just completely stacked. I think the Eastern teams have... The best way to describe it is I think the Eastern teams have gotten better, but we've kind of like... plateaued, you know. And also I think that we had so many superstars in that era. A lot of the superstars are disappearing, right? Like, a lot of like international success from European teams came off the back of players like Reckless and Caps and Perks and, you know, Yankos, Odo Amne, Febiven. These players were like, even Inspired, I think, is a person who would bring a lot of international success to Europe. But yeah, he went to NA. So yeah, I don't know. We need that next line of superstars ASAP. Because Caps is still going, and Caps is still unchallenged, and there's no one close to Caps still. I remember mid lane. I mean, Humanoid had his peaks. Vitio had decent peaks. Niski's had his moments, but Cap still runs this region after 6 years, 7 years. I think Jackie's looks quite promising, but yeah. I think the biggest thing just needs some more time, I guess. I don't know. There's lots of like... I don't know what the way to fix the region is. There's lots of definitely corporate angles of like having academy teams and having relegation spots, but... Yeah. What I do think is a positive, though, is I think a lot of... what are your thoughts on players knowing that they're benched while at Worlds? Players knowing they're benched at Worlds? Yeah, I mean, it's a horror. I think there was... Yeah, that's a dangerous topic. What makes Caps such a superstar? I mean, I think there's factors around talent, but Caps is someone who lives and breathes League of Legends. Like, I can tell you, every single time an LEC Finals ends and there's an after party and pro players go to it, Caps doesn't. He's at home playing League. Even after the tournament ends, he finishes the finals, he goes home, he plays League. He wakes up, he plays League till he goes to sleep. He forgets to eat because he's playing League. He doesn't use his phone. He doesn't have a phone. He doesn't have social media. He just plays League. Like, I don't want to say that Caps doesn't have talent. Like, he's so talented. But I definitely think that he has one of the most insane grind sets, that he lives and breathes the game. Whereas nowadays, I think a lot of pro players, not a lot, some pro players maybe, they have like other responsibilities as they get older. They have girlfriends, or they want to go out and celebrate, or they want to like fucking... Not that I don't think they should not celebrate, right? I think celebrating is good, but like... Maybe they'll go out hang out with friends, or, you know, they'll take a break during the off-season, or they'll do this and that, you know. And it's not to say that you shouldn't do this. It's just the reason Caps is a standout, for me at least, is he just... that guy will study, play, and breathe the game for his whole life until he wins. And he's, like, so driven by competition that everything else around him is just so unimportant to him. But I definitely think as Caps gets older, it's kind of harder to do that, right? When you're an 18-year-old kid, it's very easy to just like ignore everything around you and just play League. But by the time you hit 25, 26, you know, it's like your life starts to develop. And then you start questioning what you're doing with your life. And that's when people start to get, not worse, but priorities shift. But that's why everyone wants to sign 18, 19-year-old players. One, they're cheap as fuck. Two, they live and breathe the game. Whereas people who get older, maybe it becomes harder to do it. Not that they can't, but it becomes harder. How do you fix the region, chat? Go on, say it. Tell me how to fix Europe. See, this I don't like. Biggest problem is incompetent managers. The reason I don't like that take is because A, there are still some incompetent managers, but it's gotten a lot better recently. But B, your job as a manager is to A, prioritize competition, but also B, make it so the business is like it's a business at the end of the day, right? So a lot of their decisions revolve around how can I make this team who's spending millions a year profitable, or at least like draw even, and not piss away all this money. So they obviously have to make like really strong decisions when it comes to like kicking people or putting players on the bench or signing certain people as well, you know. But I do think that there are still some really silly managers in the scene. But I do think that in 2016, 2017, it was worse. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it was way worse years ago. But I feel like you've already seen that money doesn't solve problems, you know? Like, exactly, Perks the Fnatic, you know? Perks wanted to join Fnatic years ago, but he was blocked from doing it because if I give my star player to another team, I'm essentially allowing the other team to beat me. So it's not a good decision. So it hinders the region from being good, but it also like doesn't benefit me in any way, so I have to be selfish. So it hurts the region, but I have to be selfish about it because it's a business in the end of the day, right? So like that is a good example of it's not about the region, it's about you and your team. So yeah. And then the biggest thing now is, I don't know, this is just from my observations, right? Is Team A is losing and is stuck in 10th to 7th place. Team A has lower salary than Team B, who is spending millions on players, who is going 3rd, 4th. How do I beat them? Well, why don't I just go over here to the LCK and import 2 Korean players who are insanely good and are insanely cheap, put them both on my roster, and now I'm 5th and 6th, or maybe 4th. Problem solved. I don't give a fuck if it hinders the region. I don't give a fuck if all these EU talents can't join. I need results quick, and it's cheap. So boom, done. Sign them. I'm not trying to call out SK or anything. It's just happened with loads of teams. You can go back years. Loads of teams have done this. Even in NA, they've done this. These players will play longer, are fucking tryhard, and they're not here for paychecks because they're not getting paid that much compared to like other European players. And it's working. And it's true. These players are insanely good. And that's like the band-aid that teams have found to get success, but also not waste money. So yeah, fair enough. So it's not always about, when it comes to blaming managers, they're kind of doing their job, a lot of them, you know? They're doing their job. They're given a budget and they're told to win. So they're not going to go outside that budget and they're going to try their best to win. And that's their best way to do it. It's very rare that you get the perfect formula of like 5 players who are like, I mean, I'm not going to get into it too much, but a team that can compete internationally and not too far out of your budget range and are like players who are actually capable of doing an international win. Because a lot of people focus on winning LEC, you know? We win LEC, everything's fine. Then you get to international, it's like, well, we'll try our best. Also, the time and the grit and the investment you need to like internationals is crazy. Like, I obviously never went to internationals as a player, but already domestically it was like a lot. Like, it was a lot of playing in game time, and it was hard. But like the grit you need to like play internationally as well, from what I've seen in my like 4 or 5 years of casting and streaming, some of these players just have the most rock solid mindset you could ever imagine. And as much as they're burnt out, they just grind through it. And that's hard. That is really hard to do. And you can have a rookie player who's super talented, but once they actually like get tested under that pressure, like with the stage, with the competition being 10 times harder, with the year being so fucking long that your entire life is dedicated to winning, that's where like some people can maybe crack. Dylan Falco says, it's heartbreaking. I think that this G2 roster was probably top 8 in the world throughout our entire existence. To not go top 8 at either worlds is heartbreaking. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Everyone's gonna spam cope. You're talking about serious subjects with that hat on. I like my hat. But don't worry, chat. Los Ratones is coming to competitive league next year. Don't you worry. Everyone's trying to guess the roster. The roster's stacked. It's mega stacked. There's one more player we're trying to get. If we get that player, then... Holy shit. I think we can win EU Masters. Easy. Yeah. I'll tell you about it more after Worlds, or maybe like towards the end of Worlds. You're definitely not playing. If you are, then it's not stacked. I'm not playing. No, I'm not playing. I was going to play, but I'm not going to play. I thought about playing, but I thought like... okay, here's my take, and you can say cope, okay? You can say cope. I feel like if I went back to jungle and I grinded really, 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 really hard, and I had enough time, I think I could be competitive at an ERL level, at an EU Masters level, easy. But with co-streaming every major region, it's so hard to play solo queue, let alone scrim. So I feel like I would just not have time to do it, and I would let everyone down. My mind was like, fuck, I can do this. But then when I contextualized it all, I was like, nah, there's no way. I'm just going to be like, my team's going to look at me and be like, Caedrel, why did you play 4 solo queue games in the last 3 days? I would like, bro, I'm fucking... Yeah, if you ever start a team, just know that you're burning money. I mean... You know, this guy's Toast opened up an esports team. He lost $1 million in the first year instantly. Opening up esports teams is not good. It's fucking terrible. Insta minus 1 mil. It's such a shame that you didn't go to the NACL route. EU Masters is pointless. I was actually really thinking about going into the NACL. The problem for me for the NACL is the time zones are terrible. They really are. They start at 2, 3 a.m. for me. And I just can't do that. I can't. And I don't know enough about the NACL. I don't know anything about the players or who's good or anything like that. I feel like in Europe, I'm so much more clued up. And I know almost every player, and it's all on the perfect time zones. Are you worried about the death of League? I mean, there's definitely lots of bad signs, right? The money's going down. Everyone's budgets are cutting in all the teams. International performance is trash. Riot's laying off teams. Riot's laying off staff. Like, there's a lot of concerns. But on the other side, like, viewership's going up. There's a 3rd international next year. The Americas is merging to allow franchising, like promotion relegation spots. I still really love the game and all the pros. I think there's definitely a lot of negatives. There's a lot of positives. There's, yeah. How is viewership going down? Up, but money's going down? Because co-streaming exists. If I can get big streamers to co-stream my game for free, then why do I need to spend this much money on my product, you know? That's the side effect of co-streaming. The side effect of co-streaming is it's cheaper for companies. Just imagine you can say to your boss, hey boss, I can save you money and I can make more people watch your game. Isn't that like the craziest thing ever? You're like, huh? Really? It's your fault? Actually, it's our fault because you're watching me. You're watching me. It takes 2 to tango, chat. It takes 2 to tango. Nah, I don't think it's gonna be... It's not like the broadcast is gonna disappear or like they're gonna get rid of everyone because of co-streaming. I just think that co-streaming, from my perspective as like a co-streamer, I just think that co-streaming and broadcasts, they're kind of in their own bubbles right now. I feel like if they somehow find a way to merge them, it'll become way more healthier and way better for both sides. Because right now I feel like they're kind of their own things, doing their own things. Not that like the broadcast needs to do anything, but if like Riot, I think just needs to find a way to incorporate them both together better. I don't know how to do that though. I don't know how to do that where everyone can benefit. But yeah, the trend that I've noticed, I'm not worried about League dying. I'm not worried about League dying. The last thing I'll say on this topic is what I've noticed is that regions die or slowly die when players leave because fans are attached to players and not teams. Okay? That's what I've realized over time. And now when you contextualize that, you look at the LPL and they're all complaining that the viewership's down because the Shy has left, because Uzi's left, because all these superstar players have left. NA, Bjergsen's gone. All of these double lists like retired. You know, Jankos might retire. What happens if Caps retires? What happens if Faker retires? My biggest concern right now for League is not that it's dying, it's that star players that have so like core to the game itself and international success to the domestic regions, when they slowly retire, that second wave of star players, that needs to happen quick. Because I can tell you right now, I think that if Caps retired, if Faker retired, if Deft and Chovy retired, for example, like the biggest players of each region retired, that's when I think viewership would fucking tank and interest would tank. So I'm not concerned about layoffs. I'm not concerned about numbers. I'm not concerned about like the esports winter stuff. I think it's all a problem, but I think the big problem is a player side. Because these players are so core to fan bases. Because people will follow players around. Wait, hold on. What the fuck am I playing? But I'm just a big fan of players, so that's probably why I'm more attached to the idea of what's going to happen to players, you know? Or what happens when players retire. Maybe you're a businessman and you're more attached about the money. Maybe you're a fucking team owner, you're more attached about the salaries. Maybe you're a Riot, you're more attached about like the broadcast stuff. From my perspective, I'm just concerned about like what happens with the players when they retire. I just realized I've been saying all of this shit with this thing in my head. I've tried to be serious for like the last 30 minutes talking, and this fucking thing is on my head. If this ever gets clipped, some guy's gonna say this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Look at the fucking thing on his head. And then it's just gonna be everything I've said is just gonna be instantly invalidated. The Caedrel downfall. I'm sure the Caedrel downfall will happen one day. Maybe sooner, maybe later, I don't know. I'll keep streaming forever, probably. Or for like at least the next 10 years. But one day I'll fall off, chat. And you can be there. And you can be that guy that comes into... I swear, every streamer that falls off, someone goes into their stream and says, oh my god, you used to have like 10k viewers. Now you have like 2. What happened? That happens all the time, man. I swear. That must be the most annoying shit to read.